So we'll start out looking at these columbines, which is nothing else is worth a few seconds of your time. We had a lot of rain this week, so I thought we'll show you kind of result of some of the jobs we did. But also I think I'm going to start every video or end it, just kind of depends, with a view of the keyhole garden, in part because it's like my favorite place to sit, but also just to show how it changes from week to week over time. I know when winter comes we'll maybe do some compilation videos so that you can see the change in one smooth video. So yeah, this is what the keyhole garden kind of looks like today. I'm still got to fill in, but I'm pretty happy with it so far. And so the really big thing that we did last week is we got a whole bunch of compost. And here we are starting to get it unloaded, and the bulk of that compost went into about 40 grow bags. The guy obviously overloaded me, gave me way more than a cubic yard that I usually get, but I'm not complaining. So here are those 40 grow bags that all went in. And it's mostly planted up with some peppers, some eggplants, there's a little bit of basil you might see there, and some of the random different tomatoes are also planted up in there. And that took a lot of compost, but they had kind of overloaded me. So that means I had a bunch of compost left over, and had to figure out something to do with it. You see my little wagon there. Like, I will maybe do a video one day about how much better it is to have a wagon like that with a flat bottom than a wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow does have its uses. But yeah, so I had more compost than I wanted to store to use, so that means we're going to make a bed. Only problem is I'm running out of places to make beds. It looks like I have a lot of room, but I also have a septic system in there. I'm still not to the point where I want to block my truck from being able to get into the yard. I still want to be able to get into the yard with the truck if I need to, and I have a path for that. So, figuring out where a bed's going is a little tough. But I decided we were going to go over there because we have some space over there that's really grown up. And I didn't film the whole process, but I thought I'd show you most of it. And first thing you do is you cut it real short, as you can see here. And then I was kind of watering in the cardboard, which helps it break down a little better. But you water in the cardboard, cut it real short, lay down cardboard, usually remove the tape. You want brown cardboard, non-glossy stuff, usually just black ink. But you lay it down, and then you throw some compost over, which I didn't film that step because we're not doing that now. And then later on I put some grass clippings over it to kind of hold in the moisture. Maybe one day I'll do my own video about doing this, but really it is just that simple. You cut the area real short, put down some cardboard, put some compost over it, and plant your stuff. So here we had bought a lot of plants the past few weeks, and we went and they kind of had the market packs where you get like 12 plants or more for a really good price. We bought a lot of small coleuses that you can see here, and what I decided to do inside the keyhole garden with them was to plant them as a border. So I kind of started a coleus border, at least on the outside. I went along and edged, did some more weeding there, and planted these coleuses, which will grow rather large and should fill in and hopefully outcompete the weeds, or at least hide them enough to where they don't bother me. And that was what we did with them. They're in some other places we'll see in a minute. The nice thing about when you buy those packs, there's just a lot of different varieties in them. The only downside being that they're smaller, and you have to wait for them to grow in, which honestly just gives you something to look forward to. Now those little pink guys, I don't know what they are. We just kind of like them, and I planted them in here. They're supposed to kind of spread out, I do know that, but they weren't really labeled. And then I planted some celosias there. Another little pink one there on the end. And these guys are for the hummingbirds. They're called Cupnia, and I think the first variety is Funny Face, and you have Honeybell, and then we have one more that is called Sugar Bell. So the hummingbirds really liked them last year, so we got some of those and planted them. And this is our bed frame garden, which we got planted. Those are some black dragons. I forget what that flower is. We have a really tall Persian shield. Kind of looks kind of odd. I planted a bunch of coleus in there as well. And those will grow in and fill the space. And over here, finally, we're starting to see some of our Spanish flag come up. At least I'm hoping that's what that is. But really looking forward to those. And those are what should really climb up and take over that frame. So yeah, this bed's looking pretty decent right now. And the other day I discovered again our not so furry visitor. Looked like he got something to eat. Garter snakes are a good sign of wildlife in your yard. I'm hoping that he got a mouse and not a baby bunny, but I'm doubtful. But since we've seen that he is eaten, we'll switch to like the veg stuff now. And so, well, technically not veg. These are the blackberries I talked about last week. They still haven't changed color. Looking forward to them. I've got some of the anti-bird tape that's supposed to, the shiny stuff is supposed to scare them away. As you can see, the asparagus has really gotten away from us. Doing really well, really happy with that. But that's what asparagus looks like when you let it go, and that's how you need to let it go when you first couple of years when you aren't harvesting. I'll probably go in and harvest and maybe take some of that down later. And in the garden, we have strawberries. I've been picking and enjoying strawberries this last week, and so that's really cool. And we're not the only ones who have been enjoying the strawberries, unfortunately. Looked like what we thought was mostly slugs, but then when I got in there recently, I saw a bunch of pill bugs too, but somebody else has been enjoying them too. But we're still getting the bulk of them, so that's good. And a lot more to come. They're technically June bearing, but they usually start around this time for us. And then here we have our peas this year on this side, and then on this side is cucumbers. We kind of switched them, and you can see the broad beans they're growing in the back, doing really well. Also in here there are some radishes. I actually, since this video was shot, I went and picked a whole bunch of them because they were ready to come out. So yeah, happy to see like all that's coming along. And yeah, I went and cleaned and ate that one. And it was good. And so that's it for the week. Just a few things from the front here. I hope you kind of enjoyed it. Not real exciting this week. But you know, it's all part of the journey and it all adds up at the end, which is one of the great things about gardening. And I'm really glad and appreciative if you decided to take this part of the journey with us. But we're not quite done. So while I was editing, I discovered that I caught Kyra pooping. Yep, sure did. And there she is, such a good girl and so proud of herself, as she should be.